Hey everyone, I'm back. Sorry about the little technical glitch. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Teresa, and I am your creativity producer and professional messmaker here at the Creative Campus. And today I wanted to talk to you about something that we started this month in the Facebook group, and that is long-term projects. For those of you who have been a member of the group for a while, you may have noticed that I have been posting little prompts every single day about a long-term project that I was referring to as a Candyland village or a gingerbread village. And I thought that this would be a fun way to introduce a new way to use invitations to get kids engaged in learning and building new skills. Now, some of you who haven't been following me for a very long time may be wondering, what does she mean by invitations? Well, that's what I want to talk to you about today. We're going to talk about long-term projects and using excuse me. As you can see, I do have a cup of tea here. I'm going to sip on it occasionally because I'm still having some voice issues. So forgive me for that. So you may be wondering what I mean when I refer to invitations to play, invitations to learn, or invitations to grow. And these are activities that I like to encourage people to use that get kids engaged in their learning versus just reading from a book, and learning a new idea, or studying facts from a book, or watching YouTube videos, or, television shows, or things like that. Invitations actually get kids engaged in their learning. Excuse me 1 second. Sorry about that. Hopefully that will reduce my coughing a little bit. So what I have for you today is I want to share with you 20 benefits of using invitations. If you have any questions as I go through this list, I'm going to go through the list, I'm going to read each benefit, and then I'm going to talk about each one. So if you have any comments, go ahead and leave them for me, and hopefully they should appear, and I will read them as you post them, and I will answer any questions or misunderstandings that you might have. And maybe if you come up with some ideas that you want to share as I go through this, you can share those in the comments as well. So the first one is sometimes you see your child struggle to express themselves in similar ways to the ways you may see their peers expressing themselves, or your child may struggle with their verbal skills in general. Invitations help overcome this. The invitations that I have created and that I share help build language skills and verbalization, and they get kids more comfortable with using their social skills as well. Sometimes this is done in the form of a game. Sometimes this is done in the form of a child-directed story. Sometimes this is done in the form of a dramatic play experience. Dramatic play experiences, if you know me or have followed me for any length of time, you guys know is one of my favorite invitations because you can explore all sorts of learning and get kids using multiple skills at one time. You know, they're going to use their eye-hand coordination skills. They're going to use their critical thinking skills as they expand on the dramatic play experience that you have created for them, maybe by offering props that stretch or allow them to stretch their perception of the theme of that activity. So number 2 is if your child is hesitant to go to new places, or when you do go to new places and there's lots of people around, maybe your child is shy or apprehensive about going too far away from where you are, and they don't like to necessarily play with other kids that they're not either connected to or familiar with. Using invitations in a large group gives kids a little bit more confidence to go out and introduce themselves to other children, or to offer other children to engage with them in something that has their attention. So it takes a little bit of the social pressure off because they're focused on having fun with the activity that they're engaging in that's been set up, and not really thinking about, oh, I don't want to talk to this person that I don't know. This way they can kind of just work side by side and connect together through the activity. Number 3, in your home or in your classroom, sometimes stress can become an issue. This can become an issue with the children, or this can become an issue with you, the parent or the caregiver. And usually this is because we, either for ourselves as the adults or for the children, don't have daily routines. If you find yourself struggling to reduce that parent, educator, caregiver stress, using invitations, they don't just have to be for educational situations. So using invitations can be a great way to relieve some of that stress. For instance, if mealtime or cleanup time is some of the more stressful points of the day in either your classroom or your home, again, I apologize. It'll make it better for all of us, I swear. Using invitations at these stressful times of your day will allow the kids to feel more a part of the thing that you are trying to accomplish as the adult, and it will become part of your daily routine, and it will encourage the kids to want to engage. And you will notice that you will feel less stressed out when you say, okay, well, it's time for lunch. Let's either, get ready to make lunch, or let's get our toys cleaned up so that we can have lunch. When you can use an invitation that engages the kids and makes them want to help clean up or help prepare the meal that they're getting ready to enjoy. Excuse me. This will reduce stress for you and for the children as well, because instead of feeling like they're going to do something that they don't want to do, they're going to want to do it because it's going to give them a sense of pride. So you can use an invitation such as, you could play a game together to get them to put away their toys. Or you could say, all right, well, we are going to get ready for lunch, or we're going to get ready for dinner, and we are going to be chefs or pretend to be chefs, and I need you to be my chef's assistant. And by giving them a job, giving them a task that is going to contribute to you actually getting the meal prepared, or again, getting the laundry put away, or, getting some yard work done. When you give them a task that's their responsibility, it encourages them to want to do that thing. So what I do in the invitations program is I give you the ideas how you can set these situations up, and all you have to do is recreate them to individually fit your particular situation, and then you can reuse it over and over and over again. So I hope you guys are finding this helpful so far. And again, if you have any questions as I go through these benefits, leave them in the comments and I will be more than happy to answer them. So the next one is, if you notice that your students or your children are fighting your attempts to get them engaged in a learning experience or a chore, or even showing resistance to engaging in a new experience, we as adults tend to become very frustrated because we forget that they don't understand necessarily why we are asking them to do or engage in the experience that we're putting in front of them. So if you find yourself feeling this way, you again can use invitations to lessen that anxiety and that stress. You can create a distraction by engaging in a critical thinking game, or you can turn it into a exploratory experience where they explore the experience that you're putting before them before they actually engage in it, and you're doing it in a fun way so it naturally reduces the child's stress about the situation. Now, the next one is about learning time. I know a lot of caregivers and a lot of parents, maybe you're a stay-at-home parent watching this, or you're a homeschooling parent who is watching this looking for a fun idea. If you're noticing that your young friends are losing interest in their learning time, invitations is the perfect way to switch things up, because invitations can be done in all forms. There's countless different forms that you can put that invitations can take. That's what I was trying to say. Sorry. So an example is an experiment, or as I was saying before, a child-directed story or dramatic play. And you can inject these things into your learning time that the kids are going to get engaged and they're going to feel a part of the experience, and you're going to spark their interest in topics that maybe they were previously showing some resistance to. So I like to do, I don't know where you guys are watching this from, but where I am, we have started to get snow. And I am beyond excited about the snow. I love the snow, and yes, I love to shovel the snow. Crazy, I know, it's okay. But snow is a fun experience that you can get the kids engaged in that can teach them all different kinds of skills, and they can learn all kinds of endless ideas. You can get them to use their large motor skills and their eye-hand coordination by building snow people or a snow fort. You can get them to lay in the snow and make snow angels. You can, if you saw a post that I did earlier in the week, it was the very first day that it snowed here, I actually caught one single snowflake on my knee, and I was able to act fast enough that I was able to snap a picture of the one single snowflake where you could actually see the shape of the snowflake and the individual little pieces of the snowflake. And you could use that as an experiment to engage kids' small motor skills and ask the question, well, are all snowflakes the same? How can we create a snowflake? What could we use that isn't real snow to create our own snowflakes? And that would open up art ideas, science ideas, small motor sensory ideas. Like I was saying before, you could use your gross motor and goodness, I am so sorry. And you could get them to shovel. You could get them to make snowballs and have a snowball fight, which is so much fun no matter how old you are. Snowball fights are a ton of fun. And that's great exercise. So snow is a really great invitation in and of itself. But getting back to the example here, so you can use science experiments. You can use construction opportunities with the snow example that I gave. You could do endless things, and you can personalize and customize your invitations for what you're trying to teach, and also for what your little friends have an interest in. So maybe they're not really interested in, construction, but maybe they are interested in art. So you could gear your invitations more towards their art, but use art to build those essential learning points that you're trying to hit, whether it's colors or numbers or math or, again, science or, history or whatever topic it is that you're teaching. And that's another really great thing that I love about invitations is you can use them with kids of any age because they are so customizable. You can use them with older children who are looking for a deeper experience and are bored with just learning off of a screen or out of a book. When kids can experience a lesson, they learn it a lot faster and they remember it a lot more because it's not just facts that they're memorizing, it's an experience that they have. And it makes it easier for us adults who are trying to teach the children as well, because when we create an experience for the kids, it oftentimes becomes an experience for us as well, as we are teaching it, as opposed to showing it to a student. We get to experience it as well. And now I forgot which one I left off on, but that's okay, because we'll get through them all. Another reason why I wanted to share these invitation ideas with you is because a lot of times we as parents or caregivers or educators get really frustrated with the amount of time that we spend searching for unique or fun or creative activity ideas. And let's face it, once we get on the internet and we say we're looking for one thing, 3 hours goes by and we still haven't found that one thing that we're looking for, even though we've learned about 500 other things. So what Invitations to Play does for you is it gathers the ideas already put together that you can use. You can pick and choose the topics and use a math idea from this theme or a science idea from this theme, and you can combine them together and you can put your own twist on them, or you can swap out the manipulatives that I suggest you use for one activity and use the structure of the activity for whatever theme it is you want to use it for, if you just think that the activity itself sounds like fun. So another experience that invitations help to create is giving kids who struggle with a little bit of insecurity. It helps them build their confidence, because when you build activities that are centered around a child's existing skills and their interests, when they engage with an activity that is customized for them, they begin to feel more confident in their ability to learn something new, because it's building on something that they feel that they are already familiar with, even though they're learning something that they didn't previously know. So that's a really great benefit as well. Again, if you happen to have a child who struggles with frustration and boredom with learning lessons that are not custom, but they're pre-built, or they're straight out of a book, or they're, very black and white and fact-based, then using invitations, again, is a great way to teach an idea that is maybe a general idea, but in a way that is going to spark your child or your student's desire to learn that thing. Let's unfortunately pick on poor math. A lot of kids resist math. But if you can tie something that they are excited by, something like construction, or something like bugs, or I'm trying to think of some icky things that kids are excited by, that if if you can use these kinds of things and use facts about a specific thing to get them to use a math skill that you want them to build, then you're going to get them re-engaged, and you're going to bring down that frustration, you're going to build that confidence, and they're going to then, in the future, want to engage with math because the invitation made it so much fun. So here we are coming back to the dreaded cleanup time, or the dreaded meal time, and the meltdowns that often go with that. And like I was saying previously, one of the great ways to avoid meltdowns is to set up an activity or an invitation that is reusable, that every time you're going to approach cleanup time, you're going to call on this invitation. Instead of saying, all right, well, it's time to get cleaned up, you're going to say, pull out maybe a game of I Spy. And you're going to give them some I Spy clues. Or you're going to give them some Simon Says prompts. Or you can use your own game or your own story. If you can create a child-directed story that you tell them about, Henry's messy toy room and the very grumpy babysitter. You can use a storybook and turn it into your own story and prompt them into achieving something. For instance, how are we going to make the grumpy babysitter ungrumpy? Well, I think a great way to make the grumpy babysitter ungrumpy is by finding a home for all of our toys so that our playroom is nice and clean again. So you can use, as I said, a child-directed story, Simon Says, I Spy, any number of general games that you can customize that get them engaged in following a prompt to put those toys back where they belong, or put their pajamas where they belong after their morning routine, or, you can, again, do the same thing with mealtime. You can turn mealtime, which is a very stressful time for families, especially if you have a picky eater. Invitations can be great if you have a picky eater, because you can use invitations to get them to, don't freak out, to get them to play with their food. And when you can turn mealtime into a game, even better, a game that the whole family or the whole household or the whole class can get involved in, you make the experience more fun. You can turn it into a fun science game. Or, you can turn it into Truth or Dare, or all kinds of things. And I have all the examples put together for you, and if you're interested in that, you can let me know after this live, and I would be happy to answer all of your questions that you might have about how you can create a specific invitation at home. So go ahead and you can send me those messages. These are just some brief ideas on how you can incorporate these into your daily experiences. One of my favorite things about using invitations, whether it's, to make playtime more fun and engaging, or to actually get kids to learn a new thing, or even to explore new skills, is that when you have invitations at your fingertips, you will never hear kids say, "I'm bored," ever again. Because every time you start to see kids get frustrated, or they start to seem like they're losing interest in a topic you're learning or in a play experience you've given them, you can pull out these trusted invitations and you can pull one off the list, or better yet, let the kids pick one. You can create, you could create an invitations tree, whether it's if you have an at-home learning room or a playroom, you could put it there. Now you can see my hand on the wall. You could put it on your wall, and you could hang titles of invitations from the tree and let kids pick one. That would be another great way for cleanup, is, every day everyone will get a chance to pull an invitation off the tree. But as we take out the manipulatives for that invitation, the first invitation has to be put away back in its safekeeping spot, or its hiding spot, or, however you want to call it. That's actually a great idea. And it would be, you could do it with contact paper. And so the invitation titles would be protected, and there would be no fuss, no muss. It would stay up on your wall, and you would never have to worry about it. I actually like that idea. Let me know what you think of that idea. So, this one is funny. I taught in a standard classroom for many, many years, and I don't know about you guys who either have children at home, or you run an in-home classroom, or you teach in a public classroom, but I used to get 1,000,000 questions a day. And you want kids to ask 1,000,000 questions a day. You really do, because it's them using those critical thinking skills that get them to ask these questions out loud, because they're thinking these things and they probably just don't know how to achieve the answers, and they assume that we as the adults in their lives have these answers, and that's why they ask. So by using invitations, it's a really great way to give them a creative answer to those questions. So if you think to remember some of those questions that they ask, you can actually turn them into an invitation. You can turn them into an invitation for learning, an invitation for an experience, or an invitation for building a new skill. So for instance, if they are asking questions about how different kinds of buildings stay up, or what makes a building stay up but makes some other buildings fall over, you can create an invitation that explores construction, explores construction materials. This is a great way to get them to expand those critical thinking skills by exploring the construction materials and the different ways that they can put the materials together to create different structures. That you could get them, you could set up a science invitation that explores different animal habitats and how are they constructed, and what do animals use to hold their homes together. They don't have things like glue or staples, so what do animals use? So you can really get kids engaged in the trial and error aspect of learning the answers to their own questions. Again, that is a way to use invitations and constantly reinvent your invitations so that kids don't ever get bored, because if they're asking the question, clearly they don't understand or don't remember maybe the answer if it's a question that they've asked 400 or 500 times. So that's a great way to keep your invitations fresh and new again. And again, the purpose for me doing this live was to give you ideas on how you can create invitations at home. However, if you want more help with this, or you would like invitations put together already for you, I do have a place that you can get just that. I have a program that is called Invitations to Play. The program itself is based on themes or topics, and there's many of them to choose from, and they all offer 30 days of 5 different learning areas that are already put together for you. So all you have to do is download and engage. If that is something that you're interested in, again, I am more than happy to answer your questions. So you can ask me any questions that you have. I'm going to post some links attached to this live. If you want to explore the invitations further, you can do that. And if you enjoyed this live and you want to learn even more, as the week goes on here, I am going to do more lives, and 2 of the lives that I'm going to do are ways that I'm going to give you, excuse me, specific ways that you can create invitations and ways that you can use invitations. So that's going to come further in the week. So if you've enjoyed this, I'm going to do those other lives. Hopefully they won't be as long as this one, but they're definitely going to be fun because I'm going to give you actual ideas of ways and examples that you can use invitations. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I look forward to answering your questions, and I will see you later in the week. And don't forget, we are still doing for the month of December our long-term project, which is a Candyland village or a gingerbread village. So I am looking for the progress that you guys are making and how you are using and putting together your villages. So I'm going to keep an eye out for that in the Facebook group, and I will see you next time. Thanks, guys.